Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for coming out today. It's a good group, and there's quite a few people here that haven't heard any of the rules yet, but there are a few that have already heard the rules, and maybe a couple that have heard them many times already, 2 or 3 times. So I apologize for kind of repeating some of the things here, and I will go through things a bit faster today than I have before. So if you feel like maybe there were pieces that you missed, or I was completely incoherent for a piece, please feel free to go back to the YouTube channel and watch the video from Wednesday during lunch. The Wednesday evening one has no audio, so may not be all that beneficial. Anyway, so hopefully at this point you know what we're doing. Is there anybody in this room that's unfamiliar with the air quality competition, or with the Big Data Utah community, or Big Data in Utah in general?
I am, but I'll catch on.
Okay, all right. There's past videos and things that you can go in and check out. That YouTube channel has, what, 10, 11, 12 different videos on it now. There's a lot of different information there that you can go back in and check. All of that can be found on the www.bigdatautah.org site. And then there's also registrations for upcoming conferences, many other things on the utahgeekevents.com site as well. Okay. So air quality in Utah. So really, we are working to help Utah become the big data hub for the world. Right? This is a huge goal. It's something that is going to be very, very difficult to achieve. One of the things that we need to make that happen is to get a lot of recognition. Right? So we've chosen to tackle Utah's air quality and to use some of the latest and greatest technologies to see what kinds of insights or what kinds of things that you guys can come up with to make some really large impacts in that area, and then to start being able to spread the word on what you guys are capable of doing and what this community looks like, right? I was talking yesterday about what we should focus on during lunch, and I took a pretty serious tone. I took a video from my wife that she had done several years ago from her master's program. I'm not going to show that video again today, but just so you know, it was kind of sad, and it was kind of like, oh my gosh, this can be such a sad potential topic, right? There's things like for infant mortality rates, fetal mortality rates. Most of our kids that will ever have a chance of being hospitalized will probably be related to asthma, that obviously gets aggravated by bad air quality. I mean, there's a lot of potential sad topics here. Also, if you've listened to the news at any point in your life, at least over the last 5 years, you've heard about air quality. And during that time period, you've probably heard something that was fairly negative, right? I don't want to focus on the negatives. Maybe a particular team will want to make some of those their focus so that they can try to make a big impact that way. But in the long run, I think we can show some of the really positive things, or maybe positive ways to go forward from here, right? So, air quality. Why is this a good topic for us? Alton, I know you've got kind of excited at different points in the past, but why do you think that air quality would be a good thing for you to be able to show some of your skills on? Make sure it's loud enough for the speaker over here.
Sure, yeah. I like this data set because it has, you can tell a pretty interesting story end to end, from source to the actual measurements and then to the impact. And I also like it because it has a geospatial component that you can add, as well as a time varying component. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach the data.
Yeah. Excellent. Pat, is he here still? Yeah, so Pat was the first one to kind of bring this up with me. A guy from Park City had kind of touched on this a little bit as well, but Pat, why originally air pollution in your mind, or air quality?
Yeah, it came to mind basically because I hate how it looks in the wintertime. Was probably the biggest reason. My niece came out from Wisconsin last winter, and she couldn't see the mountains the entire time. And it's one of the coolest things, of course, that we have these beautiful mountains near us, and they don't have that out there. They can't see something like that. So the entire time she was here, the entire week, you couldn't see it because of the inversion the whole time.
Yeah.
So.
Is there anybody else that's really interested in air quality or really passionate about it that'd like to kind of say something about it? Anybody in the group? Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
I just work a little bit with the negative side you're talking about.
Yeah.
Big deal that you use basically right now.
Yeah.
So there should already be some interesting stuff done to try to build on maybe. Meanwhile, let's build with more data.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think that's a really critical factor, and kind of leads me to one of the points that I want to get to, which is, there has been a ton of research and a ton of information about this particular subject, and they focused on different things. Last night we were talking a little bit about how groups tend to have a very narrow focus, right? So they may look at infant mortality rates specific to air quality within a very specific city, right? Or a specific time of year or whatever else. Other studies have been done to try to show things like how wood-burning stoves affect our air quality, right? Or how cars affect air quality, or how point sources affect air quality, and so on and so forth, right? Or what's in our air. All of that is really good and will provide a great foundation for what we're trying to accomplish. One of the things that we may be able to do that maybe other research facilities can't necessarily do is use the power of big data technologies and other really large scaling technologies to look at all of these causes and all of the problems and all the effects, as well as all of the things that could potentially be positive as well, and start seeing some new correlations, right? We may be able to take that research and use it as a foundation to get to something either deeper or something maybe on a wider scale than has ever been done before. Because of that, we're going to get a lot of notice. I haven't mentioned this before, and I don't know exactly where this is going to go or not go, but I want everybody to know that the governor, the governor's office, many other individuals all throughout the state in many different organizations, and people around the country, including large companies like Cloudera and Hortonworks and MapR and so on and so forth, are paying attention to what we're doing right now. Spencer?
I think you should really point out how excited the state is.
Yeah, and I think it's actually kind of hard to point out exactly. This is Spencer brought up how excited the state is about this, right? Spencer probably sees that more than anybody, but Spencer went in, he brought this up with the state, and it spread like wildfire. I mean, very quickly, we had the notice of the most senior level people in government here in Utah. We had many different divisions, 22 in total, that all said, how can we help? We have people providing data sets for us, people taking time out of their days to try to make something great happen. In the meantime, every call I make that's related to UCare or Breathe Utah or the Clear the Air Challenge group or Salt Lake City or the county or whatever else, any of those calls either Spencer or I make just immediately catch on, and people are like, oh, this sounds cool, this sounds exciting, right? When we're done and somebody presents a great result, it's not going to just get noticed in the 500 to 800 technologists that we have at the conference, which is also pretty cool, right? But this is actually going to get noticed across the state and potentially across the nation. We're going to start getting this out to different news organizations. We're going to try to get onto TV about all of the things that are going on, everything else, right? This is potentially something that can catapult your career to another level that may not be possible without it. Okay? Now, we'll go into the presentation, and later on you'll start seeing some things that I'm talking about related to time and how it is hard to commit to the time of this, but we're not looking for a specific time commitment. We're looking for results. We're not looking for a particular skill set. We're looking for results. So please come out and help, regardless of who you are, what you have time to do, and let's make something cool happen. Okay? So what should we focus on? So let's make a difference, right? Rather than focusing, like I was just mentioning, on the technologies, the methodologies, the tools, how exactly you're doing it, we're going to focus on the questions that you find that need to be asked, or the answers that you find to questions that have been asked potentially for years, maybe decades. Okay? This is that video that I won't go into. There's the sad stuff, or some of it. Air pollution increases the incidence of asthma, SIDS, so sudden infant death syndrome, premature birth and death. Not a pleasant subject, but anyway. So causes. There are many different causes that we could potentially look at. I've put this up here because I think that it'd be a good idea for teams. Doesn't mean you have to do it this way, but a good idea for teams to look at certain categories that you're focusing on, whether it's causes and effects, some other sorts of relationships, etc. But here are some potential causes of why our air is bad. And the www is the cloud, which is supposed to be environment type stuff. So anyway. So effects, right? Another way we can try to narrow it down a little bit is to look at the different effects of all of these causes, all of these things that are going up into the air. This obviously affects health at all age ranges. Thousands, even tens of thousands of people die every year from a lot of things related to air quality just here in the country, let alone around the world in every single city. Okay. The economic effects, as Pat was mentioning, when people come here to Utah and they can't see the mountains, it actually changes how they view Utah. Potentially they don't come here again, maybe they don't spend their tourist dollars here, but also they may not bring businesses here because of the air. And then also quality of life. You know, everything from helping things like depression increase because of the bad air, and preventing us from going outside to do the things that we enjoy. A lot of people here in Utah really enjoy getting outdoors, right? It's harder to do when it's just disgusting. It kind of makes you feel less than pleasant, right? So what were the steps to what we've done? By the time we're done, we would actually like to create a template on what we're accomplishing as an entire group and what individual teams are accomplishing as well. And then start replicating that template to take it out to other states and other places around the country and around the world. Right now, IBM is tackling air pollution in China, in Beijing specifically. Intel is tackling the air quality in San Francisco and the areas around it. I don't know if there are very many others. I've seen a couple out there, but very many other studies or things that are done like this at all related to big data and these technologies. So we really are on the forefront, and I actually think we started this before a lot of them did, but IBM has more money and Watson and so on to try to take this on that we may not be able to do. So the first step really was to find the data, gather as much data as possible, get it from all of these different organizations. We still need to continue in that step. So as you're gathering data or as you're finding things that your particular team needs, please provide that back to the community so everybody can have that out there. Having a particular data set or a particular knowledge or a particular connection or whatever, we kind of hope that isn't the advantage that you use as a team. We'd rather work on this as an entire community. Hopefully your advantage is in how you present and what you present later. Okay. So the second step was to learn about data science. We've had a lot of really great experts here present on many different steps of data science. These steps actually kind of similarly follow the steps that you find on Coursera under the Johns Hopkins training certs. So check those out. Great source where you can actually learn for free or you can pay money and get certificates. So check out Coursera when you get a chance as well. And then the third step is to have the data cleaned, defined, and accessible. We want it all as available as possible for everybody in the community so that you can come in and do something really, truly amazing. We'll mention this briefly again later, but we are getting a cluster from Trace3 and Supermicro. So we actually had the option to have an EMC pivotal cluster with 1,000 nodes. We have Cloudera has provided some money for AWS and some other things for us as well. So we have some really cool things there. We've had a bunch of other companies like Pure Storage and several others that have tried to provide stuff for us. The best solution looked like the cluster from Supermicro. It is a Hadoop cluster, and it has 93 terabytes of storage on it. Very powerful, should be great to use. We'll probably run into some glitches, but not because of them, just because it's hard to set all this up and get it going all within a month. But help us with that, please. So let's let the competition begin. So we have an executive board in place that's helping us to determine all these different factors, but we are open to suggestions if there's things that we can change along the way. We have an advisory board. I'm not going to go into who's on all of those right now, but it's a very impressive list of people that we can ask questions from. So if you have any questions related to air quality, related to the technologies, let us know and we'll ask of those guys as well. And then we will have a judges panel for the actual time when we get to judging the solutions from everybody. So the competition rules. Pat, do you want to go over these, what they are and everything?
Yeah. So the first rule is actually a goal. The goal being to build the community. That's primary goal, and then to improve the to improve the air quality in Utah or provide insights about the air quality in Utah. Again, we're not saying that you've got to go and say, I'm going to put a gigantic fan over on the mountain and blow everything out so that there's no problems. We're not asking for that. We're asking for insights and ways to improve air quality, results in some way. Rules. Teams must have 5 members at least. We suggest larger teams for this competition. We think they'll work well, so 5 to 10 is a good number. You don't have to go about that, but you have to have at least 5 no matter what. You must have at least 1 newbie, meaning somebody that is new to either the technology, the ideas, the concept, something that shows that you have mentored that person to make them better than what they were before. You're all newbies? Okay, not everyone in this room is newbies. I'll qualify that just like I did yesterday. There are certain people in this room that are not allowed to be newbies no matter how hard you try to tell me that you are. Yes, Ben, I'm looking at you, Alta, and a few of the others. But the goal there is that you are mentoring someone, and you're building the community. You're bringing somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and helping them out. That's the goal. There will be a prize related to that too as well, mentoring other people. So it's a very important aspect. All the code and all the data must end up as open source. So everything that you do to make the result that you came up with has to end up as an open source project. And we're doing that so we can give back to the community moving forward. So the government and everybody else can have those projects moving forward. If you have access to a data set that no one else does, say a healthcare data set or something like that, can't really use it unless you can actually open source that data set at the end of the project. Okay?
Tell us as you go.
Yeah, let us know if you find something like that. We can try to help with some of the hurdles of getting it open sourced. But basically, in the end, everything must be open source so that everyone can benefit from it moving forward. Okay? And then in the end, it will all be published to the Open Civic site, which I'll bring up here in a minute and show you which site. But basically, it'll end up as a data set that's publicly available to everyone. You must have a focus on Utah's air quality. We don't mind if the team is necessarily out of state. We have a few people that have approached us from out of state, but they must focus on Utah's air quality. We don't really care about Canada or Mexico or anything else right now. We just want to focus on Utah's air quality. And then also the house team organizers, the house team is not available for the grand prize. There will be a house team that goes along with all of this that does some of these same ideas and abstracts, but they will not be eligible for the grand prize. They'll be eligible for other prizes, but not for the grand prize. Okay, is that clear to everybody? And it's a lot easier to read on the sheets than on here, so that's why I passed out the sheets. There's a PDF as well that I'll include on the link to this meetup and to this Google Hangout where you can download this exact document. The evaluation criteria, the result is the most important. Okay, the most important thing you can do is show an impressive result, impressive, effective, something that gives a result to the competition. That's what's important. Not that we do not want to see your technical prowess or your skills, but the result is the key here, not the technical side of it. Okay.
Kind of similar to how it'd be in your business, right? I mean, if you can do something amazing technically, but it doesn't actually affect the bottom line or the top line, it doesn't go very far.
Right. Now we're looking for results here for this competition. You get points for presentation and effective communication. This result has to be presentable to general public. In other words, it's got to show this is how you can make an impact or this is what you can do. Just saying, again, here's my technical result or here's this wonderful thing I did, but they can't understand it, it's not going to help anyone. So you will get points for effectively communicating it and points for your presentation. All the teams, we would strongly suggest somebody that's visual on those teams. Either someone that's visual, a great presenter, somebody that can do those sort of things to help with that aspect of it. Okay. Prizes, we're going to have a grand prize and overall a mentoring prize. There will be a few more added into these. We're still working on some of them, but they will be at least have these prizes along with it. The prizes are going to vary between cash and items as well, so there will be a little bit of both. We'll have those all fleshed out, the exact prizes in the next few weeks, and we'll let everybody know what those are.
And by that, he means sometime in October.
Soon. Soon. I have the checkbook, so don't listen to him. So you must be present at the Big Mountain Data Conference to win. Everybody's got a flyer here for the Big Mountain Data Conference, October 25th. Please go and register as soon as possible. Please speak if you are into speaking. We would love to have more speakers. We need more speakers. But you have to be there. That's where the awards will be announced. Okay, so you need to be at that session.
This is a split conference between SQL Saturdays and the big data community. And right now, SQL Saturdays is kicking our butts on numbers of speakers.
That's true.
They have a lot more people
Attending.
So please, don't bring that up. But so please come out and present. Pretty much everybody in this room can present on something. So find something that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, and go out and help the rest of the community.
Yeah, and the idea is that you can go to either of those disciplines. Whether you're working on something in SQL Server or an open source project or big data, you can go to all of them. I mean, we all have to work with mixed data technologies and environments, and so that's what this event is all about.
Not just SQL, like any relational database.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We're hoping for some Oracle sessions as well. You know, there might be some MySQL sessions. There's a lot of different things there. Anything to do with data. That's the whole goal. Okay, resources, we kind of mentioned them here. Data, civic data, that's up on the site. BigDataUtah.org is the primary site where all of these links are. We're working on changing the front page right now to look more like this, and as soon as I get that in, hopefully in the next day or two, it'll be updated. But for right now, your links that are over there are still there. The JIRA tickets, the civic data, all of that information will help you with your resources of what you're looking for. There's a lot of JIRA tickets that are in there that they don't have the data sets clean, defined, and accessible. So you can still get ideas of those JIRA tickets right there to know where to go and get data. Okay. Dates, go over the dates quickly. Rules, details announced, that's this week. August 26th, the Charter of Goals. A lot of people are asking about this Charter of Goals. This charter can be very loose. In other words, I want to work on the correlation between cars and air quality. It can be very simple like that for right now. When you turn in your presentation, you're going to want to have a much more detailed charter, basically what you have done over the last month. But just for getting started, we're not asking for a huge detail 5-page document. Yes, sir? Not this time.
We did last time.
Not this time. So if a company wants to take its 15 people and throw it at it, we're not going to stop it this time. So go right ahead. Again, we are much more focused on results this time than anything else. So August 26th, turning in that goal, that idea of what your team is, okay, or who your team is. Now to do that, there's a registration form. It's at the bottom of this page. We can pull it up in a second when Nick gets done with the rest of the presentation. But it basically just asks you team name. All I'm looking for there is Team Alton or Team Ben or something like that, or Team Pat, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be this cool, awesome name. Don't get stuck up on that. Just figure out something that works and put it in there so that all the team members are the same, so we can put them together. Okay. We'll have a hackathon, a mixer on September 13th. That's going to be a chance to mix together with venture capitalists, executives, lots of different people to help you with ideas and to possibly propel your career into the future. The hackathon during the day is still being planned, so you'll hear more about it. It's probably the best way to put it. Presentations due September 24th. This is a draft, meaning we're here to help you review what you've done. If you want to send this to us, great. If not, the deadline is the 1st. So you can just turn it in on the 1st, and you can say, here's my presentation. Now, what we want on that turn-in is essentially links to where the code is, links to the open data that you've created, and then links to presentation, or here's my presentation. That's what we're looking for, okay? That's what needs to be turned in on the 1st. We'll review with the judges. We'll present. You may be called in to present to the judges. That could be where we come into a meeting room or something else and you present to a group of judges. And then finally we'll announce all the prizes and everything at the Big Mountain Data Conference. Okay, questions about the rules? That was them in a nutshell.
Is this set aside online somewhere?
If you go to a meetup from yesterday, I don't think the one this morning has it on it, but there should be a PDF link in one of the other meetups.
Plus, when you go to the BigDataUtah.org site, you'll see a couple prezzies under the competitions tab, and you can click on one of those, and it'll give you all of my prezzies. Actually, up to the second that I'm making them, so you can always go find this particular one out of the other presentations by Nick Bagley. So,
meaning they're not fully out there yet. But the PDF link is down at the bottom of this, or no, it's not. I thought I put it on there. But it will be put on this meetup and this Google Hangout as soon as I get back to my desk. I would do it now, but my computer's doing this. So. But yeah, so you'll get a link to the PDF. It was sent out in the newsletter. It will be sent out in the newsletter again, and then it'll also be updated on the website.
So
Questions?
A couple of quick things that we have on here. So we have a bunch of resources available. So that civic data site, we're actually helping create something amazing. Civic data is open data for different communities around the country. And there's a brigade here in Utah that's doing some really incredible things with that and trying to push it forward. So as we're doing this, we're actually helping build out that infrastructure so that you guys can have access to this data for years to come. We're also trying to help grow the community. We're using the Jira boards for everybody here locally or here in this group and that gets involved to put up tasks and issues and so on. We did suggest last night that if you want a task board of some sort for your particular team, Trello is a good option. Jira is an option, but it does cost money, unless you have a not-for-profit or whatever. But check out like Trello, etc. There's a bunch of other resources such as the cluster and things that I mentioned before, but now is a really good time to ask some questions. And then I'll try to wrap up quickly, and then hopefully, we've got a bunch of people today here. It may feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I think now, today, is probably a good time to get your teams up and running. So today might be a good time to kind of talk with each other and say, hey, are you looking for a team, and see who can start building some teams here. I'd like to leave with very few people in this room not already on a team today. So questions so that you can be prepared to do that.
Let's go through the rest of it quickly.
Are there teams set up? I mean, maybe number 5 on some teams, number 1?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So besides talking here, on the registration form that's at the bottom of this page right here, it gives you the link right there. When you click on that form, first name, last name, email, I'm looking for a team. You just put in there looking. And then we're going to start advertising that to everyone else here. And you just put some skills in there, and then what's your charter, what you're thinking about working on. And again, that can be very loose. But in other words, that helps everybody get that looking idea together. So we're going to start posting those people into the Google group so that everybody knows who's looking for other things.
The house team is loosely structured, and we do have a couple other people here that have built teams as well at this point. And so, yeah.
Yes,
Brad?
That was my question, is who has teams actually formed right now, and also who has ideas they want to form a team around? You know, those are kind of the two questions.
Does anybody have teams formed right now, or at the start of them? Not in this room right now, or at least they're not raising their hand. So.
Who have good ideas they want to form a team around? Okay.
Alton does. Alton had an abstract that he submitted. And so let's go through the rest of these quickly, and then I'll bring up some of the abstracts, some of the general public surveys that have come in, and you can see some of the ideas that have come in as well. So go ahead and finish up.
Okay.
Move
So
through quickly.
before I flip to this, I wanted to go back to the points that Pat brought up of why we're doing this, right? One is to grow the big data community, which means getting recognition, which means doing something great, which means teaching people how to do this and so on, right? We're also trying to do something big about air quality. So a lot of the things that we're doing are going to help the government, help other organizations to continue on going forward with air quality. We'll also have the University of Utah and potentially other places as well take what we're doing and start applying those to capstone projects to many other things going forward. So should all help it grow as much as possible, but we want this to exist for a long time and help us create templates for future competitions on things like healthcare or education and so on and so forth. Okay. So involving the community. So we so far have been doing as much as we can to try to involve the community, but we really need you guys. I got fairly passionate about this last night, but we really need you guys to go out there and spread the word to everyone. Not just technologists, not just your coworker, not just whatever, but everybody. We have an air quality survey that's going out to the general public where they can ask questions. I guarantee a 14-year-old out there could come up with something incredibly creative that some adult is never going to think of related to air quality. And that may be the thing that not only wins the competition, but actually makes a difference to the air here in Utah. Okay. So public relations and public information officers. We're working with several different groups now, as I mentioned earlier, to try to get this out to the news, to spread the word. Please use social media. I mean, if the Ice Bucket Challenge can get spread all over the world, we can do something a little bit more impressive than that, I think. Like, ALS is a big issue, and it is something that's very sad, but it affects 10 to 30,000 people a year. This, on the other hand, kills 10 to 30,000 constantly around the world in every sense. I mean, there's areas where it's more than 2% of the population dies every year. Okay? That's a good chunk of people. Okay? So there will be that mixer that Pat briefly mentioned. We'll have venture capitalists, investors of different kinds, startup communities, different people like maybe Boom Startup or whoever. Also early funding companies. We'll get executives out there from the IT industry, and then all of you guys as well. So come out if you have business ideas. If you want to just figure out how to make this a more relevant project, that will be a great night to do it, and it'll be right after the hackathon that we haven't really defined yet. So we're still planning. So your results, we'll have the competition prizes available. The results will be presented to the state and other organizations. But the results will also be announced at the conference. We'll be pushing them forward well into the future, and we'll post them up on different sites. And so they're going to exist for a long time. You can actually make a difference here. We will take the information that we have here, provide that to additional researchers, people that need this kind of information, and they'll take it to things like potentially legislature. We have commitments to do that if there is something that's actionable. As I mentioned earlier, capstone projects, templates for other states, so on and so forth. If you're feeling a little bit underwater or feeling like you just don't have time, let us know. Because I think there's a way to be involved no matter what, whether it's with a team just providing a quick suggestion or a hypothesis that they can look at, or maybe it's just being out there to involve and spread the word to many other key people as well, right? So let us know. We'll try to do what we can to help. Needs to be a team effort. We all have different situations. We all have different skills. We can't all be super cool data scientists. So let's make sure that we're all trying to find a way to compete and use our different strengths and weaknesses. There are a lot of data scientists that are not very good at presenting, right? So if we can get some great presenters, that'll be valuable. David? Great question. So we have over 50 on the JIRA board right now. We have 350 additional ones or so from CDC and everything from PAM. And then we also have a bunch of large data sets that are in the terabytes from UDOT and others that we're still ingesting. We're getting some of those on flash drives and so on. We'll try to get all of those into the cluster, hopefully over this weekend and through next week. So we are looking at a big data problem, but we're also looking at a very complex problem. And the large data sets may not be what you even need to pay attention to, depending on what you're looking at as a team, right? Maybe more about the complexity and the fact that the data is very diverse and not nearly as clean as it should be at this point.
Yeah, this one touches a lot on variety, because there's a lot of different data in there and correlating it together. I don't think we've had, besides the 3 terabytes I'm working on right now, we don't have too many that are over, say, 5 or 6 gigs in size. But if there's 50 of them, and you've got to put them all together into a certain time frame and combine them all, that becomes a big problem.
So, although this is the Big Data Utah group, use whatever you need or whatever you want to use. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a singing competition. It doesn't matter. In the long run, it's about the result, and it's about what you're able to do from a presentation perspective. Hopefully the data that we're providing will help you have the knowledge to be able to do whatever that is. So don't sing, though. I don't know if well, maybe there's a few here. Don't have me sing. So we are searching for the best results. Oftentimes the best results come from the best questions. We have the survey and other things to try to get good questions, but be asking other people. Have us help you spread the word. Ask us what people in the community are looking for. Pat and I can work a little bit like business analysts in a company and reach out to all of these experts in the domain and see what they'd be looking for on a particular subject if you're interested. Okay? And then if you have any questions, if you need technical help, if there's anything else we can do to help, please let us know. The house team is supposed to be there as something that you guys can mirror a little bit. I don't know if it'll end up being set up perfectly or not, but or if we'll have enough time to really work on things or not. But we want to be able to present as much as we can to help you guys be successful and have something to compete against. And then last couple of things. So we're here to clean the air, right? Imagine what kind of things you could actually accomplish. I mean, just let your imagination run wild for just a second. What if you could actually clean inversion? I mean, right now, the state has spent $500 million on the Core I-15 project to try to fix the air. And they're actually going to make a huge difference. I think by the end of 2017, they expect that we will get out of that red air where we're exceeding federal standards. That's awesome, right? But what if you could actually take it to where we never really even get into the yellow? If you could turn that around and sell it to China, if you could turn around and provide that to LA, to Bakersfield, man, you could make a lot of money, but a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. So also invite others to help. You know, I already brought this up, but please spread the word in every way, shape, and form you can. I don't really know what any of those symbols mean because I'm the worst social media person ever, but use them. Click on them, whatever it is that you have to do to make them work. But anyway, get out there and let's spread the word. Again, bucket challenge, really? So, Pat, if you want to, should I come up with one?
So let me show you some of the ideas that have already been sent in through the survey really quick. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves while I'm getting this.
Yeah, so a couple were saying, hey, what ideas or things that people have? You know, I know both of you have actually mentioned similar ideas that you have for a team. Might even be good for the two of you to throw those out and get some creative juices flowing.
I'm not sure. We're talking just a little bit, but one of the things I was thinking about was all of the stuff that is in the air. Some of it's usable. It's just not for breathing. And so, is it viable to invest in scrubbers, for example? So, individual and municipal scrubbers. But that was just.
Well, again, it's creative juices flowing, right? Like,
Yeah.
that may be completely impossible and maybe whatever, but look at what Star Trek has done. So.
I've got to we'll pull this one up anytime we talk about completely impossible or things that are different. This one came in through the general public survey right down there. Blast mountains to clear the inversion. So make a giant hole in the mountains and that will take the air out of there. Uh-huh. Awesome. So yeah, So there's a lot of great ideas. This link will be shared inside the meetup and the Hangout, and then it'll be on the actual page. This was just, again, it was a survey we sent out to lots of different people. We got responses. All it really asks is if you could learn anything you wanted about air quality, what would you learn? What would you do to change? You know, those are the questions that are asked here. And again, they came up with lots and lots of different ideas. My intent is to take these, put them as actual ideas onto the Open Civic site. There's a submissions board there, and then we'll use those as ideas. Whether you work on those ideas in your team or not, you don't have to. These are just helping you out with what people have talked about. But there are ideas that are out there that you could use to go somewhere with it. Like I said, some are very creative. One of them was shut down tourism. I don't know if that would really help, considering the economic impact. But you know, we don't want to tip the scales too much. Another one was how much does the meat industry affect us? You know, I guess that might be a lot of pollution there. We're not really sure, but it's in there as an idea. So look through this. I will post these both on the Hangout and the other one, and then we'll send out a newsletter too as well to make sure everybody has them. Other questions, comments, concerns? I want to give the rest of the time basically for people to chat, talk about teams, who they're looking for. Curtis has something to say.
I have one quick thing. So, state on Hades, next month we don't have this room, so we have two options: either A, go up to Leonardo, I guess, maybe, or B, we could skip or move back a week. But post that, so from October on, we're good. So,
Okay.
just a little hiccup.
Okay.
Maybe rather.
Yeah. Leonardo's.
What do we need a direction?
I don't know before, I'll have to look and see.
Yeah.
Check out what it is before we do.
Yeah, so we can look into that.
So I mean, look, what's the, do we know what the third Thursday is of that month, of September?
I don't know, I'm not a computer, but
So that's the 18th. So if we move the week forward, it'll be the 25th.
Yeah,
Which will be the
25th.
day before draft.
Yeah, it might be a good time to review drafts, things like that.
Thoughts? So let's just make sure that works. We'll find on the 25th, and we'll announce that.
Yeah. Yeah, so other than that, let's use whatever time's left here to talk amongst yourselves, to find out who wants to work on teams, what teams you're looking to do. If you don't want to be part of the competition at all, that's fine too as well. We'd love to have you though. We want everybody involved. So yeah, we didn't have anything else after that. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Is there anybody, so